We have been traveling for the past 3 years since 2019, full-time on the road. And I mean, look how much stuff have we got. We have skateboards, DJ decks, and even a cat.
Obviously, being on the road and traveling full-time is an absolutely amazing experience, and we wouldn't trade it for anything. But there is some downsides to traveling. You've probably seen it on our channel. We do film the good and the bad. We always show you the real side of traveling. In this video, we are going to be telling you about the ups and downs of full-time travel and what to expect if you are wanting to hit the road.
This video is sponsored by BetterHelp, but we'll get to that in a bit. Right now, we're in Ayutthaya train station, about to get a night train all the way to Chiang Mai. And because we're traveling with the cat, we couldn't check in into a better class, a $9 ride, which is third class. And it's gonna be pretty funny because I'm pretty sure it's the most uncomfortable. It's pretty hard to go with all these bags. So now that we're on our seats, we only got 12 hours left on this train.
Yep, this is our bed for the night.
So we just arrived to Chiang Mai, just checked in, got all refreshed and rejuvenated, and now going straight into the ups of traveling full-time.
Pretty sure we could talk about it forever, but some of the main reasons that we love traveling is because we get to experience new places all time, every day. We get to try new foods, meet new people, experience new cultures completely different from ours, and many other reasons.
So usually when we talk to some of our friends about us traveling full-time, majority of people say like, wow, this is so cool, you guys are living the dream. And you know, when you look in social media, it does look like that. When you go onto Instagram and see how people live full-time traveling, you know, perfect photos, smiles every single day and such. People think that that's how it is, but the reality is that it's actually not like that. There's actually a lot of downs, and that's what we wanted to talk mostly about today, is the downsides of full-time traveling.
So one of the biggest impacts on us travelers has been in the past couple of years. If you didn't know already, COVID has affected travelers in a big way, and to be honest, it's affected everybody in a way. If you're watching this right now, it's probably affected you in some way.
Yes, and full-time traveling, it's also been very affected, especially when you're budget travelers like we are. We can't like go and do couch surfing anymore. It's not as easy because people don't want random people staying in their house. Same thing with like hitchhiking, it is way harder, you know, and like small hostels and small little restaurants are all bankrupt, you know, so you have a lot of like guest houses and hotels that are relatively expensive and they're not as cheap as they used to be a few years ago. The main issues would be when it comes to mental health. I was talking to a few of my friends back home, and they are struggling with mental health, their friends are struggling with mental health, their family is struggling with mental health. Apparently the helplines, they call them the suicide lines, even them are so full of phone calls, there's not enough staff, people are queuing up. Basically, I feel like now we're living in the age of anxiety. Myself, I never struggled with mental health or anything like that. Growing up, I never really had much, and probably that's what made me feel so strong, you know, and now I just never get really upset. Everything is usually pretty good for me, but to be honest, there are really bad days sometimes, especially when we have to say goodbye to a lot of people, you know. It is really hard to create strong bonds, strong friendships when you're full-time traveling. Like for example, Olivia's parents just came for a visit a few weeks ago. We had a really awesome time together, went to Maya Bay and everything, and as soon as they left, we both felt like a void inside of our chest, felt like, you know, something's missing, and it's like, oh, so we're back to square one again, we're back traveling alone without many friends. So sometimes, you know, it could hit you a bit of that, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I here alone and stuff like that? Where's all my friends? Where's all my family? These things could affect you a little bit, so we feel like no matter how positive you are, there will be those days where you feel a bit down.
Yeah, and I think every single person is different. For me, I can be a very stressy person. I do get overwhelmed quite easily. I do get quite emotional over things quite easily. So it does affect me a bit more. And if you have been feeling overwhelmed or stressed, or you're struggling with anxiety or depression, which a lot of people are nowadays, BetterHelp, our sponsor for this video, is here to help. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. You can talk to your therapist in a private, online environment at your own convenience. There is a huge range of expertise on BetterHelp's network, which has over 20,000 therapists that may be able to provide help that is not available in your area. All you need to do is fill out a questionnaire. This helps assess your specific needs, and then you will get matched with a therapist in just under 48 hours. After that, you can schedule secure video and phone sessions, and you can also exchange unlimited messages, and everything you share is completely confidential. If you feel like you've been partnered with a therapist that isn't quite right for you, there's no need to worry, because you can request a new therapist at no additional charge at any time. Go ahead and join the 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with a BetterHelp therapist. If this is something you think you might be interested in, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com using the link below in the description.
Back to the downsides of full-time traveling is things breaking down constantly and molding away. How many clothes we had to get rid of just because they were molding away because of so much humidity. And when you travel, the climate's always changing. You're always unpacking things, packing them up again, and it's just all the zippers are broken. It's like so many good stuff is like going to waste, right?
Yeah, you're constantly having to replace your favorite clothes because they just get used up a lot faster because you're traveling with less stuff. So you're using the things that you have more because they're a lot more important to you on a daily basis.
One of the bigger things that are breaking down is technology, stuff like laptops, because we use them all the time, we work online, and sometimes the humidity levels can be a bit too high when it's rainy season, and if you don't check that, you're gonna lose your MacBook. Like it happened to us before, to the point where we lost everything apart from one phone, and we had to edit it on a phone until the phone broke down as well. So then we were borrowing someone else's tablet to edit our videos for like a good 2 months or something like that. That was pretty gnarly. So me and Olivia were just like, it's just a challenge, we should somehow manage to continue doing it, and we did it, you know. And now we have 2 laptops, but we always check humidity levels because you don't want to lose another one.
And it's not really fun to be losing that kind of equipment here in Southeast Asia because there's not that many MacBook shops. I mean, they're starting to open more and more. There was a new one in Bangkok not that long ago, but if you're in a small country like Laos, it's pretty hard to replace your equipment at a cheap price. Another down of full-time traveling is definitely not being able to have a consistent routine. This one is a pretty big one for me because I do like a bit of structure in my life. I like to be organized. I'm that kind of person. And traveling is kind of the opposite of that. You have to be spontaneous. You have to do things different every day. Plans change last minute. Things don't go to plan either. So it's a bit hard if you like having a routine to be a traveler full-time and not have that aspect in your life. That's why after being on the road for 3 years, we have kind of slowed down our traveling. We kind of stay in places on a monthly basis sometimes just to have a break from constantly moving all the time, and it gives us a chance to kind of create some habits. So going to the gym, we can do that for a month if we stay in a place, because otherwise it's really hard because you need to buy their monthly subscription and all of that kind of stuff.
And also you kind of get used to your favorite restaurants, so you don't just go exploring, because a lot of times you're not very happy with the food. So we are foodies, you know, so we kind of love our restaurant because we know the food's gonna be good there and stuff. I'm pretty sure you understand because you're a human as well.
Yeah, and constantly changing where you are all the time can be quite stressful. If you are the kind of person that likes routine, traveling full-time might be a bit difficult for you. It can be difficult. If you're going for 6 months, it's a bit different because you know it has an end and you're just enjoying the time there. But if it's a longer time, it might be a bit more difficult, so keep that in mind.
Another downside of full-time traveling is giving up a lot of your hobbies. Like imagine if you are some sort of like artist and you play drums. You're not gonna be able to bring your drum set. So this is one of the bigger things. For me, I really enjoy like skating with my spare time or like mixing. So when we lived in Laos, after like 2 long years, I managed to get a skateboard and the DJ decks. But because we kind of live there and now my life is a little bit better. But you know, if you have hobbies, you are most likely not gonna buy instruments and stuff like that whilst traveling. It's just way too heavy. It's just kind of like not very smart, so you kind of have to give up a lot of your hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, if you are someone who absolutely loves playing the guitar and you can monetize that and you can use it as you go, or you're an artist, maybe you'll take it along with you and that'll be your work or something, or just because you really love it. But really it's quite hard if you're traveling with a lot of other stuff as well. It can be difficult, and it is kind of sad to have to give up hobbies you love because you're not as good at them anymore when you go back 3-4 years later.
It's one of those things is you have to choose traveling or hobbies. Sometimes you can squeeze both in, but a lot of times it's really hard.
And of course you could find solutions to doing your hobbies while you're on the road. For example, me, I absolutely love reading, and obviously you can't travel with like 1,000 books in
We
your
had to get
suitcase.
rid of so many. I was like, this is too many, like this thick ass books, it's too much.
So instead I decided to get a Kindle, which is literally this big and it has all the books you need on it. And to be honest, if you are a reader and you're traveling, get a Kindle. It's going to be the best decision you've ever made in your life. Another reality of full-time traveling is kind of being in a place far away from everything you know, so family, friends, the place you grew up, the country that you know, and just kind of experiencing that and trying to keep the connections that you have. I think it's really hard to keep in touch with friends sometimes, especially when they're kind of living their own lives and you're kind of living your own life. And yeah, things change, and I think not having that physical connection with a friend can be really difficult.
Yeah, I mean there is FaceTime nowadays and such, but to be honest, I've noticed in the last few years with my friends we just kind of talk less and less and less, you know, because really like we're not there, you know, like it's just how it is. Of course we do talk and we're still friends and such, but it's not the same, you know, and because like Olivia said, you're not there to have the same experiences with them, so they have nothing to talk about really.
And obviously we do meet new people like we said earlier, but it's usually only for a few days, so that can be really hard as well, having to say goodbye like we said, and not being able to create new connections that are really, you know, a good friendship as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
But so as you can see, there's quite a few downsides, but for some reason we still chose to do full-time traveling, because at the end of the day it's still worth it. So we are giving away all of these things, you know, all the downsides there, we know, we acknowledge them, but to be honest, we think that there's more upsides than downsides to full-time traveling.
Definitely, we absolutely love it. We understand that we are so privileged to be able to travel like we do, and yeah, we wouldn't change it for anything. We just wanted to share with you some realities, because we have had a lot of people messaging us, and we've met up with people that have actually started traveling because of our channel, and we've inspired them, and that is the reason that we started this channel, so that really means a lot to us.
Definitely.
But we really wanted to share with them and you what to actually expect, because it's not all what you see.
It's not all Instagram, how people portrayed it, making it look like every single day is the paradise, the dream and such. In fact, people, you know, go through a lot of rough times, and some of them even commit terrible things, you know. Full-time traveling is not for everybody, so before you do that, maybe you want to go and travel for a few months to see how that goes, to see where you're at, and after that maybe you want to try and do full-time traveling, because full-time traveling, you know, it's a lifestyle, it's a dedication, it's every single day for a long time. So hope you enjoyed watching this little video,
and we hoped that it helps some of you if you're kind of on the fence about going and starting this kind of life or not. And yeah, subscribe and like if you enjoy our content and this video was helpful. Leave a comment if you're thinking about full-time traveling soon.
and we'll see you in the next one, because there's loads of stuff coming out about Chiang Mai, because that's where we're gonna spend the next month. Get ready for it.